Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen. Some movies rock, some movies shock, they're powerful, alright. We cover them all on your favorite part. So many movies we can choose, even when you win, you lose. Life moves pretty fast, some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math, it's the 30-something movie podcast. Be excellent to each other, peace out and word to your mother. They're from the best decades, movie magic that never fades. Lightsabers clash, phasers set to stun. Action packed from dusk till dawn. We have deep thoughts and questions three. Come share our love of the movies we see. Life moves pretty fast, some will fizzle and some movies last. I understood there would be no math, it's the 30-something movie podcast.
Hey, everybody. Excited for you to be here with us on Vengeance Month. No, it's not a month where we just talk about Robert Pattinson's Batman. It is a month in which we talk about a bunch of movies that deal with the idea of vengeance, revenge, and they're just kind of a little dark, a little gritty, or Die Hard with Vengeance. It's not really dark and gritty. It just says vengeance in the title, but... But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to be as cheerful as possible because we're starting the month off with the movie Seven. And I mean, we're going to get into it here in just a minute, but a little bit of a baptism by fire. I'm going to go ahead and ask this question now, even though normally we'd ask this a little bit later. Patrick?
Yes, sir.
This was your first time watching this movie, wasn't it? Patrick?
It was.
Patrick?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Are you okay?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I'm fine.
I don't know why my voice got so squeaky. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But I have a kind of, and we'll get into it with deep thoughts, but I kind of found out about this movie early on before I was really like even wanting to watch this.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's kind of a whole thing with that for me.
Okay. All right. We'll talk about that. Bo, how are you doing?
I am well, John. I'm just contemplating the depths of this film that we watched this week.
There are depths. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We've delved into the depths.
Plumbed him even.
Yeah. So very, very quickly, we spoil freely here. So if we start to mention a movie and you don't want to hear anything about it, just do a little skippity skip there and move ahead a couple times on your podcast app of choice. And then we'll probably have moved on to something else. Make sure you visit our website, 30podcast.com, where you can leave a rating, a voicemail. You could become a co-executive producer via Patreon over there with all kinds of added bonuses and benefits. Before we get into talking about this movie, this is the first episode of the month. And first episode of the month, we typically hop in the DeLorean and we head back about 30 years to this month in 95.
When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
All right. So for this month in 95, July 1995, on July 9th of 1995, this was Jerry Garcia's final concert with the Grateful Dead. Because I believe he passed away a month later. Almost exactly a month later. Yes, August 9th, 1995 was the day that he passed away. So July 9th, they were playing a concert. Grateful Dead was at Soldier Field in Chicago. And they did not know at the time that was going to be his final concert with them. So, Forbes magazine on July 17th announces that Bill Gates is the richest man in the world with a net worth of $12.9 billion.
Read about them in Forbes.
In Forbes. Mr. Cowboy. July 31st, Walt Disney announces the acquisition of everything, or Capital Cities / ABC for $19 billion. The network of properties now consists of Disney, ABC Sports, ESPN, and ESPN2.
Okay.
it wouldn't be until many years later that they would add ESPN 8, the Ocho.
The Ocho.
Did you see ESPN 8 Day the other day?
Oh, they have some great stuff on the Ocho.
Oh yeah, I was watching. We were actually out at a party, and before the party started, it was on. We were watching Spike Ball and some other nonsense. It was kind of fun.
A little while ago, they had the air guitar championships.
Nice.
Oh.
And then they had corgi races.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, they always have some pretty good stuff on the Ocho. Let's see. Birthdays. The American singer and songwriter Post Malone was born on July 4th, 1995. We had several famous deaths in July of 95. July 1st, Wolfman Jack, the American disc jockey, had passed away from a heart attack at age 57. Bob Ross, happy little accidents. Bob Ross passed away on July 4th of 1995 at age 52.
Oh, wow.
And also on July 4th of 1995 at age 76, Eva Gabor, the Hungarian-born American actress from Green Acres. She passed away. Yeah, she passed away at age 76 on July 4th.
Oh, well, there you go.
Top
Good for
books
Eva.
were The Rainmaker by John Grisham, Bridges of Madison County by Robert James Waller, Beach Music by Pat Conroy, and Memnoch the Devil by Anne Rice.
Oh, okay.
Top movies for the month of July 1995 were Apollo 13 and Waterworld.
Nice.
And then top songs for July of 1995 were Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman by Bryan Adams and Waterfalls by TLC. Don't go chasing them. That's all I know.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Just stick to the rivers and streams that you're used to. Wise words. All right. This time around, our movie is Seven. This one came out on September 22nd, 1995 in wide release. It was premiered about a week earlier in New York City. Rated R for many obvious reasons. Runtime is 2 hours and 7 minutes, which for some reason, I don't know. Now, I feel like I've been to so many movies lately where it's like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 40 minutes. And this movie at 2 hours and 7 minutes, for some reason that feels short. When I look at that number, when I look at the number 2 hours and 7 minutes, I think, that seems like a short movie. But at the same time, this movie was exactly the length it needed to be.
Yep.
Well, okay.
Oh, okay. What go ahead.
Okay, you want to do that now?
Do
okay.
it now, yes.
So it is.
Your deadly sin is interrupting, but go ahead.
Yes, it is. I do it all the time. Ask my wife. It's not that it needs to be longer. I'm very rarely in favor of a movie being longer.
Sure.
But have you ever noticed in the section from after the killing, the next one is Pride and there's one more. Doesn't necessarily matter. But the next two, they show up to the crime scene, they look at the body, they make a comment, they leave.
Yeah.
It's the disproportionate amount of time that they spend on the certain different killings feels very strange through a 2025 lens.
Mm-hmm.
If that movie was made today, we would linger on those. And I think some of that is the rise of the police procedural and all of that, where like we're just so used to that, where people they talk for 20 minutes at every crime scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I definitely
Facial
felt
exposition with British intelligence.
right.
Yeah.
I definitely felt that watching the movie. I was like, wow, they
Yeah.
they didn't spend any time there at all. And I'm not trying to judge it on it. It just felt odd to me. And I don't know if that's because we do watch an obscene amount of police procedurals and murder shows in my house.
Maybe.
So
Mhm.
perhaps I'm just so conditioned to expect it that when it didn't happen, I was like,
Yeah.
it was interesting. And I felt they could have gone into some of those a little more. And I realized that's the gruesome, sick part of me.
Yeah.
So, but it's interesting that you call out 2 and 7 being short.
Mhm.
And I felt like they didn't linger on those. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
just a weird combination of factors, right?
yeah, and I wonder too because I don't know. I mean, it seems weird to say this, and we'll get into more of this as we get on with the discussion. But I'm wondering if in those final in those final couple of sins that they covered at the different crime scenes. You know, for example, the one for lust, because the last two I think were lust and pride, and you're right, they didn't spend much time on those. I'm wondering, was the lust one so extreme because of what happened?
Remember,
like, let's
they
not
didn't
spend
spend a
time
lot
on
of time at the crime scene, but they spent a lot of time interviewing that guy.
Right. Yeah.
So they spent time on the murder, whereas in Pride they were there for like 30 seconds. I was like, but what about? Okay.
Yeah.
It was just weird. I don't know, off-putting.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but as you said, that's my deadly sin. So.
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine.
He says that now. He's got a voodoo doll back there.
I mean, I have been doing some extra 3D printing lately, so.
Well, I realize we just saw Dogma, and
yeah,
voodoo dolls.
But you didn't say "God bless you" when I sneezed. that would be like the worst of the deadly sins if that's what John Doe was getting people for.
Right.
And you are probably the worst of all. He was your son, you sick. You're a good person. You've lived a good life and you did nothing wrong. But you didn't say "God bless you" when I sneezed. All right, you're getting off easy. I'll enjoy it when we talk about that movie too.
Oh God, yes.
That'll be a fun one. Director of this one, David Fincher, who did, well, I have other movies listed here, but I'm going to say he did Fight Club and he also did Alien 3.
Any chance John can mention Alien 3, man?
Arguably one of the best Alien movies.
Really?
The listening audience at home can't see me winking and smiling into the camera with a little twinkle in the corner of my eye added for effect, but arguably, because I can argue it, one of the best Alien movies, and I will.
Give him a glass of whiskey. He'll argue a lot longer too.
One of the top 5.
Yep. Even when you win, you lose. Writer was Andrew Kevin Walker, who did 8mm and Sleepy Hollow, the comic book. Producers were Arnold Coppelson and Phyllis Carlyle, who did Platoon and Unforgiven. Composer was Howard Shore, who did Silence of the Lambs and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Cinematographer was Darius Kanji, I think is how you say it, who did Dark City and The City of Lost Children. Lots of city work there.
Dark City.
Oh, okay. So Dark City, I'm gonna gripe for just a second.
Do it.
Okay, I'm gonna call forth any of the listeners who might be listening. Dayton Johnson, I'm sure, has dealt with this on the Docking Bay 77 podcast because he loves physical media because physical media is better than streaming. But I got to say this. Dark City has released a 4K like special edition, or they will be releasing. I want to say it's either today, maybe?
Ooh.
Yeah. Anyway, a 4K edition of the movie, and the stupid scalper people keep causing these not to be available on Amazon and other places because they go and buy them first and then they resell them at jacked up prices. And this has happened a lot lately with the 4K.
That is no bueno.
No, with the 4K movies, it's happened a lot, especially when they release them as like the steel books and the other stuff like that.
Sure.
So I heard about the Dark City one the other day and I was like, okay, well, I have Dark City on Blu-ray, but this is 4K. It's Arrow Video, and they usually put some pretty good extras when Arrow Video does them. So maybe I need to go buy that one. And immediately when I went to go look, it was like already, it hadn't even been released yet, and it was like pre-sold out. Like, what do you mean pre-sold out? And it's because stupid scalper people, they come and they buy these and then they sell them other places and they jack up the prices. Case in point, I have not bought a copy of it. I thought about it a little while ago. Apparently, the Lawrence of Arabia 4K copy that came out maybe a few months ago, I'm not sure you can get it for anywhere less than $200 right now.
Dude, come on.
Yeah, it's insane. But this is kind of happening like nonstop with some of the 4K stuff.
That's brutal.
So not cool.
Yeah, they got to figure out a way to not happen.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I have a couple of alerts set. If it's anywhere at a reasonable price, I might be getting the 4K Dark City because that is an outstanding movie.
Yeah, I bet that looks really good in 4K too. I might have to do that as well.
You know, and it doesn't hurt that certain people are in Dark City.
Dreamweaver. I believe you can get me through the night.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway. The Rocketeer and Labyrinth.
Sigh.
Yeah. All right. Where was I? Dark City. Okay. Editor was Richard Francis Bruce, who did The Curious Case of Benjamin Button and Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Production company was Arnold Coppelson. Arnold Coppelson Productions. Budget was somewhere between 33 and 34 million. Box office was 327.3 million, so it did pretty well. Flick Metrics gives it an 81%, and Cinema Score gives it a B, because probably the people were traumatized as they were leaving the theater. Morgan Freeman played Lieutenant William Somerset. He was in The Shawshank Redemption with his good friend Andy Dufresne. He was also in $1 Million Baby. Brad Pitt was Detective David Mills. He was in Fight Club and Inglourious Bastards. Gwyneth Paltrow was Tracy Mills. She was in Shakespeare in Love and A Cardboard Box. Kevin Spacey was John Doe. He was in The Usual Suspects and American Beauty. John C. McGinley was one of the SWAT leaders, California, that was in the chopper at the end. The chopper. Get to the chopper. Don't show
Come
him
with me if you want to live.
Don't show him the box. Don't open the boxes. Don't. Do it now. Get away.
What's in the box?
What's in the box? That's a totally different movie if Arnold's in it.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I wanted to let you know that I envy you and your pretty wife. What are you saying about Maria?
Hey, all I know is that you get 3 options. Door number 1, door number 2, or what's in the mystery box?
I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. I'm going to have them answered immediately. What's in the box? Number 1. So that turned almost into like a Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
My number 1. Number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1. What's in the box? She played Tracy Mills. We're still back on this. She played Tracy Mills. She was
With that number 1, there's what's in the box. Is all I'm saying.
Yes. It's my pan flute. Number 1. It's Beverly's head.
We are ill.
I don't.
Oh dear.
It's Beverly's head. Crusher. I hardly knew her.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Hello.
R. Lee Ermey, who passed in 2018, played the police captain. He was in Full Metal Jacket
So
and
good.
Toy Story and is
It
so
was
good
So fun to see him.
as the police captain.
It was
Richard
great.
Roundtree. Richard Roundtree was a bad mother district attorney, Martin Talbot. He was Shaft and Black Belt Jones. Daniel Zacapa played the Detective Taylor during the first murder. He was there. He was in A Walk in the Clouds and The Rundown. Reg E. Cathy, who passed in 2018, played Dr. Santiago. He was in The Wire and House of Cards. And Peter Crombie, who passed in 2020, played Dr. O'Neill. He was in Christmas Vacation and Lean on Me. Some quick trivia in this one. Studio executives wanted to change the film's bleak conclusion, but Brad Pitt said that he would quit if the head in the box finale was altered. So they wanted to change it, and he's like, nope, you change it, I'm out. Leland Orser. So you have seen this guy in all kinds of other places. He was in Alien Resurrection. What else was he in? But I feel like every other part I've ever seen him in was probably because of his performance in this movie.
Okay.
Because he plays the guy who is traumatized because he was the lust victim. And if you've seen, he was in the Taken movies. I got to pull it up because he's been in so many other things, but I feel like every time I see him in a movie, he's playing like, I would credit him as traumatized man number 2.
Okay.
In whatever movie he's in. Yeah, he was in Alien Resurrection. He was in Taken. He was in this one. But he always plays like a traumatized person very well. And I'm trying to remember if there's any others that are like around this time. No, he was like a medical assistant in Independence Day. Oh, he had a couple spots in Deep Space Nine. He was in 2 episodes in Deep Space Nine.
Oh,
He was in an episode of The X-Files. He's got a lot of TV credits, but I feel like a lot of the times when I remember seeing him somewhere, he's like always traumatized in some way.
you can do trauma well,
He can do trauma well. If only the rest of us could be so lucky.
right?
Oh yeah, he was in Runaway Jury, he was in Star Trek Enterprise, Taken, ER, Law and Order Criminal Intent, 4 episodes of 24. So he's kind of that guy. I mean, you'd see him in something, you'd be like, oh yeah, I don't know who that guy is, but it's that guy.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there was a scene where Brad Pitt's character Mills was supposed to get injured as part of a chase, and he took it a bit too far and actually got himself injured. So during the scene, the chase scene,
Who is
where
this guy? Tom Cruise?
right, he's doing his own stunts here. So during the rain-soaked chase scene, Brad Pitt accidentally smashed his hand through a car windshield, which then required surgery. But that was fine because they needed him to get injured at some point, and it worked into the script. So, good job.
Mm-hmm.
That's extreme method acting right there.
Yes. Good
David-
job. Great work. Luck of the Irish. Don't ever do that again.
There you go. David Fincher nearly did not make this movie because of one of my favorites. He had a terrible experience on Alien 3 as the studio and others interfered with his vision for the movie. And he claimed at one point that after making Alien 3, he said, quote, he'd rather die of colon cancer than direct again.
Wow.
It's a bit extreme, but then he read the script. He read the script for Seven, and he's like, "Ooh, nope, I like this. I think I'm gonna do this." So we very nearly did not get David Fincher, and there are just a ton of other movies we would have missed out on having him as the director if he had gone off of his Alien 3 experience and not directed ever again. So very, very fortunate that he chose to continue on.
Yes.
Let's see. There's a couple of others. I think we mentioned this maybe last week's recording. We were talking about this, but yeah, because I think we mentioned Usual Suspects that's coming up next week, and then this one. And Bo, I think you might have said something along the lines of, these are movies that once you've watched them once and you know the twist, and then you go back and rewatch them again, you catch little things here and there.
Right.
So I started to catch more of the little hidden moments where the John Doe killer is actually following them around in the movie.
Right?
So there's the one where he's pretending to be the journalist, the photographer, and he takes a picture of him.
Right.
But there's a couple of others in a couple of other spots. This one I had not caught before, but now I kind of want to go back and watch it. When Mills and Somerset go to Wild Bill's leather store, when they kind of get the picture of what the lust crime is going to be committed with, and they go find out the suit that Wild Bill had made for this person. He comments that John Doe walked with a limp when he came into his store. And if you look in the background, there is a man limping across the street watching Mills and Somerset as they're in the leather store. So I haven't caught up any others. I was looking to see if there were any others where like he's in the background somewhere, or there's some little kind of visual Easter egg, but that one I thought was kind of cool. I'm going to have to go back and see if I can catch that one. Let's see. The sloth victim's makeup took about 14 hours to apply. When they hired the actor for that, his name is Michael Reed McKay. He weighed 96 pounds when he was cast. And then just before filming, to fit with what Fincher wanted that person to look like, he ended up losing an additional 6 pounds to get down to 90 pounds.
Good grief.
Which is, I feel like that's what my right leg weighs. It's, when I hear things like that, it makes me think of one of those very, very early, like maybe the second or third episode of South Park, when Cartman is watching TV and it's the Weight Gain 9000 commercial comes on?
Yeah.
And he's like, "Are you a 90-pound weakling?" And Cartman, the second grader, is like, "I only weigh 90 pounds. Say it with me, beefcake. Beefcake.
Beefcake. I love that episode. I know South Park is still good, I'm sure. I just don't watch it as religiously.
Right.
Those first few seasons were so special.
I feel like we used to have the first 6 episodes on a VHS tape that we would just watch over and over again.
Nice.
Are you guys enjoying South Park? Yes, it's super. Thanks for asking.
Thanks for asking.
Do you think South Park might become the next Simpsons in terms of longevity of a show?
Maybe. I mean, it's been going for close to 30 years now.
Hmm.
What are we? Are we almost at? Let's see, 95. When did South Park start? Was that 96 or 97? It's around that.
Had to be. We were in high school, so
Yeah. It's getting close. Yeah. Yeah, it's getting close.
Cool.
So let's see. Oh, Denzel Washington was originally up for the role of Mills.
No, that would have been interesting.
He turned it down. He said the script was too dark and evil. And then when he saw the final cut of the film, he actually said that he regretted not taking it, that it looked like it was a great story.
That's cool.
David Fincher insisted that it should always be raining in the movie. Not only does that add atmosphere to it, but it conveniently removes the hassle of needing to match weather conditions during filming.
Okay.
So that was his plan, was to always have rain.
All right.
All right. In a city drowning in sin, 2 detectives, Somerset, weary and wise, and Mills, brash and hopeful, pursue a killer who judges victims by the 7 deadly sins. As the body count rises, a chilling delivery plunges them into a final confrontation where justice and vengeance collide.
Do you like what you do for a living? These things you see?
You have to wear blinders sometimes. Most times.
Detective William Somerset is looking for a way out.
You're retiring. 6 more days and you're all the way gone.
So how long have you lived here?
Too long.
Detective David Mills is looking for a way in.
We'll be spending every waking hour together from now until the time I leave. I'll show you who your friends and enemies are.
Look, I've worked homicide 5 years. Not here.
Now,
Ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a homicide.
they're caught in a game.
No fingerprints and no witnesses of any kind.
Nope. About the only thing we know about that guy right now is he's totally insane.
Where the price of sin is death.
There are 7 deadly sins. Gluttony,
You're going to come take a look at this?
greed,
No one touches anything.
sloth, wrath, pride, lust, and envy. 7. You can expect 5 more of these.
Body was found on Tuesday morning.
I hate this city.
We're gonna get who did this.
This will be the very definition of swift justice.
There are 2 more bodies, 2 more victims.
This guy's methodical, exacting, and worst of all, patient.
He's laughing at us.
He had a gun.
He's 2 murders away from completing his masterpiece.
Let's finish it.
Brad Pitt, Morgan Freeman, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Have you ever seen anything like this?
No.
7.
All right. 10 major moments, starting with number 1. The veteran detective Somerset, jaded and 1 week from retirement, because he's getting too old for this stuff.
Yes.
Yes. Is paired with the young, impulsive Detective Mills, who has just moved to the crime-ridden city with his wife, Tracy. Their clashing personalities kind of set the tone as they are thrust into a series of disturbing murders that will test both of their limits. On Monday, we are following the week, which works well with the 7 deadly sins. On Monday, we have gluttony. This is the first victim is a morbidly obese man forced to eat himself to death. The word gluttony is found at the crime scene, disturbing Somerset, who tries to hand off the case only to be denied. The methodical nature of the murder hints that there is a kind of darker philosophical motive behind the violence. On Tuesday, we get greed. The second victim is a wealthy lawyer compelled to cut a pound of flesh from his own body. The scene is marked greed, and Somerset begins to suspect a serial killer is using the 7 deadly sins as a framework, and the detectives start working together in earnest. Sloth is Wednesday. Evidence from the greed scene leads to a horrific discovery. A drug dealer has been kept alive but immobilized in a bed for a full year. So they have a bunch of Polaroids that date back 1 year from the moment, the day that they're there on the crime scene. The word sloth is left behind, and the sheer planning and duration of this crime starts to shake everybody because they realize this guy's patient, he's methodical, he is a deeply committed and very deranged killer. And the one of the creepy parts about that scene is you're assuming that this person is dead until somebody gets right up in his face, and he ain't dead.
That one of the creepiest things in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a lot of creepy stuff in that, but that was disturbed.
Yeah. He's not feeling much better. He's not going to go for a walk, but he's not dead yet. Yeah, I remember that. That I probably jumped right out of whatever chair I was sitting in the first time I saw this.
Yeah.
Yeah. We get some on, I think this is about Friday-ish. Tracy invites Somerset to dinner, trying to ease some tensions between her husband and Somerset. The next day, she privately confides in him about the fact that she is pregnant and worried about bringing a child into the world, and kind of dreads raising it in such a bleak city that she is not enjoying at all whatsoever. We get the idea that Mills is there because he kind of, it almost seems like he kind of wants to be a hero. Like, he says he wants to do some good, but, and what's the, Serpico is kind of the little nickname that she has for him when he's off to work on that first day.
Yeah.
But got kind of a hero complex, it seems, and so it seems like that's why he moved his wife to the city, and a particularly, even though we don't know what city it is, it seems like it's a particularly rough city on purpose, and that he wanted that. It seems like he wanted the most extreme crime situations possible so that he could be the hero. Somerset sympathizes, revealing that he once persuaded a girlfriend to have an abortion and that he regrets it deeply. Research into the Seven Deadly Sins themed literature leads the detectives to a man named John Doe. At his apartment, Doe unexpectedly returns and escapes after a violent chase. Inside, they discover meticulous journals, photos of the victims, a chilling level of obsession here. It becomes pretty clear that they're dealing with a fanatically disciplined killer. I was trying to remember, is this the first time we get the connection of serial killers write in teeny tiny handwriting in composition notebooks?
That might be one of the origins of the trope.
Yeah. I remember I used to have a student, one of my first years teaching, we had the composition notebooks, and I had a student who wrote in very neat, very tiny writing. And every time I'd grade something in his composition notebook, I'd be like, okay. All right.
Yes.
Just watch this child carefully.
Yeah, that's it. Well, I sure hope that I didn't miss this in the trivia, but I remember reading that they actually like wrote and filled those notebooks out, and it took them, a very significant amount of time to do that.
I believe that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's true. Let's see. I believe it's Saturday now, and while Friday night's all right for fighting, Saturday is meant for lust. And so the next sin is lust. A man was forced at gunpoint to murder a prostitute with a bladed outfit, let's just say.
Yeah,
the horrifying nature of this one kind of devastates Mills and rattles Somerset a bit, but they're even more determined to stop the killer at this point. Pride takes place on Sunday. That is where a fashion model disfigured by Doe is given a choice: live with her ruined face or die. And she chooses suicide by pills. The word pride is found nearby. And at this point, all the crimes are brutal, but also seem to be kind of escalating in psychological torment of the victims, too. To their shock, Doe turns himself in at police headquarters, bloodied but calm. He offers them a deal. He'll lead Somerset and Mills to the final two victims, Envy and Wrath, on the condition that they go alone with him. With no better leads, they agree to do it. In a desolate field, a delivery van arrives. Somerset intercepts it and finds a box containing something. Doe reveals that he was envious of Mills' life, making him the sixth sin, envy. And Mills, devastated, becomes the embodiment of the final sin, wrath, by executing Doe in a fit of rage.
Okay.
fulfilling his master plan. By the end of the movie, Somerset is shaken, but he decides it is not time to retire yet, that he needs to continue his work. And then I think we ended with a Hemingway quote. It was, I'm trying to remember the first part. It was, oh, what is it? It's the world is a fine place and worth fighting for. I agree with the second part.
Yep.
Yeah. And that brings this pretty rough and brutal one to a close. So that being the 10 major moments, now we're going to get a little into the deep thoughts here.
And now, deep thoughts.
I have an opinion on this matter.
Don't mince words, Bones. What do you really think?
I like it a lot.
Wow. It's very deep. Thank you.
All right, so Pat, I've already asked you this. You
Yes.
just saw this one within the last 24 hours?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Without going too deep into it, initial thoughts?
Well, definitely a dark and twisted movie. Enjoyable to watch, right? The two, in a way, it's almost like what Unforgiven did for the Western. This does for like the police procedural kind of noir films.
Yeah.
Right. I maybe just called like 4 different genres right there, but
that's right.
yeah, like this is kind of what Unforgiven did for the Westerns. It's just dark. It's just a dark and scary movie, grotesque, brutal, and the ending. I kind of feel like Dr. Soren after in Star Trek Generations, when like he gets knocked out of the Nexus and he's just walking around he's in those cruise ships and then they blow up and they get on the Enterprise and he just comes walking up and he's just like, why send me back? Why?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I felt like after watching this movie. Is I just get done not berating it at all. I mean, it was an incredibly well put together film, but I just like after the big twist, I'm just left by going, why take me back? I want to go back a couple hours before I knew that this, how this all ended, just because it's so disturbing. But I think Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman are, I think there's great chemistry. They're entertaining to watch. I like, Gwyneth Paltrow, and yeah, it's just, it's awesome.
Yeah. Bo, when was the first time you saw this one?
Pat, I've been struggling with this question all day. I know I saw it before this watch because I've seen it before. I know I have. But it doesn't feel like something I saw when it came out, and I can't tell you any reason I would have.
Yeah.
Except maybe Morgan Freeman, but that doesn't even feel right, So I think I must have seen it because people were talking about it later. And by later, I guess I mean, I don't know, this came out probably high school. I feel like this is that movie that came out before I was really in high school.
Sure.
I think we were, because we were freshmen.
It was,
right?
Yeah, freshman year. Yeah. I was like,
I feel like this is the kind of
beginning of
movie
high
I saw later into high school when people talked about it.
yeah.
Maybe even watched it like with some friends at a like get together or so, you know what I mean? Like this isn't, and it's not even my style of movie normally, like nothing I would gravitate to. But I remember liking it then and liked it again now. Like it's a very good movie. I mean, like any movie, it has its challenges, but as a movie, as a piece of art, it's got a lot of the good stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
I don't think I ended up seeing this until college. I feel like what? Like we're being watched. Away, put your weapon. No, I feel like I watched this in. You know what? Actually, I can tell you exactly why. Because I watched Fight Club in college, and then after watching Fight Club, then I was like, okay, David Fincher. What else do you have for me? Oh, you have another one with Brad Pitt? Let's watch that one too. And Morgan Freeman.
Brad Pitt guy, he's okay.
Like, and Morgan Freeman, yes, please. So I think probably after watching Fight Club, because I would do that sometimes if I'd find a movie I really liked, then all of a sudden I'd be like, let's create a little movie marathon out of this, and let's either find a couple by the same director or a couple with the same actors or something that looks like it has the same aesthetic to it or the same color palette or something like that. And so I probably watched this not long after watching Fight Club, because this would not have been one that I would have picked up at all during high school. I don't know if I ever remember. I don't even remember if I remember people talking about it. I mean, I do remember people talking about, that there was, somehow the whole scene at the end with the box and what's in the box.
What's in the box?
I didn't get spoiled on that. So somehow, even if people were talking about it, somehow I didn't hear it.
Yeah, that's funny that you say that, because I think people did respect that for a while.
Yeah, because I remember watching it. And the first time I watched it, I remember being like, ugh, that's what's in the. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Because it was shocking. Like, and maybe it was still shocking, even if I had heard people spoil it before. But yeah, I feel like I didn't have that spoiled for me. So.
And that's interesting. I hadn't really thought about that, but you're dead on.
But since then, it's almost become kind of a joke, like what's in the box? And
what's in the box? Well, not one of Brad Pitt's finest deliveries, if you want my honest opinion.
In maybe not that line, but I will say.
No, that's what I mean. That particular line, it just sounds weird. I don't know.
Sounds a little like Luke Skywalker whiny.
Yeah, and I know what he's going for. Like, he's freaking out. Like, I get what they were trying to accomplish, but I do feel like it pushed away from intensity into whining.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the box?
Yeah.
I'm a terrible person.
I want to go to the Tashi station and pick up some power converters in the box. It's power converters in the box.
Right.
So that started to lean a little bit more towards Seinfeld. What's with this box? What's in the box? That's a very different movie.
Could I be any? No.
All I'm saying is she should have quit while she was ahead.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And I thought I went too far.
Well.
No.
You know the name of the company she runs? Goop. That's usually my response. What's in the box? Goop.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
That's hysterical.
Yeah.
You're a bad man.
For a stretch of time, we had been playing trivia. This was not the traditional trivia team and location that we had played at, but we had played at one point and somebody had showed up to the bar that we were playing trivia at with like a take-home pizza box from some other restaurant. And so the running joke was, we're like, what's in the box? I mean, it's obvious what's in the box, but we were jokingly like, what's in the box? What's in the box? And so actually when it came time to figure out what our team name was going to be for that trivia session, our team name became What's in the Box?
What's in the box?
Well, yeah, at that point, I mean.
And then when
I don't think you had a choice.
Then when that group of trivia people had to, I think we went somewhere else one time and the teams had to be smaller. So we split off into separate teams and they retained the name What's in the Box, but our team name became Gwyneth Paltrow's Head.
Oh boy.
So.
I thought you were going to say your team name became the Goop.
I don't think Goop existed at that point.
Well, that'll do it.
I think that was pre-Goop. Which, can still get you in trouble.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous, but that's okay.
Yeah. So back to Se7en. Yeah, this movie, I remember watching this movie for the first time and just, I mean, I don't know that I watched too many police procedurals or other than like, the occasional Law and Order or something like that.
Right.
But I mean, this one, I was thinking of like, what would have gotten us to the point where David Fincher could make a movie like this? And actually, it made me think of going back to any older movies about serial killers and this type of stuff. And I'm going to do a little plug for both our podcast and our buddies at the Surely You Can't Be Serious podcast, because this would have been 2021. And actually, I looked it up real fast. Our episode number 375, I don't recall which episode of theirs it is. I don't think they number their episodes. But if you go to their website and look up, I think it's October 12th, 2021 on their website. And then on ours, it's episode 375. We partnered up with them and we did a review of Silence of the Lambs, M, and Psycho.
Nice.
And so if you want to go listen to, in fact, before you listen to this episode, maybe go back to one of those, either theirs or ours, doesn't matter to me, and listen to that, because I feel like you've got a pretty good stretch of from, what was it, 1931 to 1961 to 1990. You got like 90-year or 30-year stretches there of building towards something like what got us to Seven, because I don't think you have Seven without Silence of the Lambs. And then I don't think you have Silence of the Lambs without Psycho, and you don't have Psycho without M. So if you're looking for what brought us to the point of Seven, I think that's what gets you there. But then once you've done that, I think, and I forget which one of you guys said it earlier, but I think once you have the movie Seven, then you've kind of colored the landscape of what police procedurals and movies about serial killers are going to be like, kind of from this point on.
Right.
Like you've
Right.
got similar kind of like, you know, cat and mouse kind of a game between the serial killer and the cops or the investigators that are chasing them. It seems like a lot more things are brought in where there's like a religious aspect or a cult aspect to the serial killer, that like somehow now all these serial killers went through seminary and they know the Bible backward and forward, because that's what serial killers do. Yeah, so it kind of feels like everything, a lot of stuff that we see after this point is colored by what we see in Seven. And I just remember, and watching this for the first time, I just remember I could not, as gruesome, as brutal as this movie was, I could not take my eyes off the screen of this, because I think David Fincher does such a great job of setting the tone and creating the world. We have no clue what city this is. They never say what city this is. I think some of the assumption is that it's New York. I think once Tracy mentions that they lived upstate before. I mean, there's plenty of other upstates that you could be in, but, you know, so we don't know exactly what city this is. But even if this is some like fictional crime-ridden city, if this is like a Gotham City or something like that,
right?
Which I think a lot of the newer Batman movies, especially maybe the new Matt Reeves Batman movies, the Robert Pattinson one, I feel like there's a lot of that as he's trying to track down the Riddler and all the stuff that's going on with that. I think that pays a lot back to Seven as well. I don't think you have the Batman without Seven, because a lot of I feel like the environment, the colors, the whole palette, everything, just the Batman reminded me a lot of Seven.
Yeah. I hear the connections that you're saying. It's just a dark and brooding movie.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah. That's all I have to say about that.
Which fits well with the idea, you know, when you think about like some of the more extreme Batman stories, like that's what Batman is supposed to be. Gotham City and the Batman is this dark, brooding character, and he's dealing with these terrible, disturbing criminals and killers nonstop. So like this, I feel like this would fit perfectly. If you tried to tell me that this was Gotham City and that these were two detectives working in Gotham City, I would absolutely believe you, because it seemed to fit so well within that. But then just the meticulous nature, not only of how the killer planned all these things, but just the details, the way that Fincher films this entire movie. Yeah, it's hard to, it's one of those movies that's like hard to watch and almost harder to rewatch. But I will say it probably is one of my, I don't know how to say it's one of my favorite movies. I'm not going to list it in like top 10 or anything like that. But if I had to list the movies that probably had the biggest impact on me good, bad, or indifferent, this one has got to be high up on one of those lists. If I talk about the movies, like, because there are movies that I love that I will rewatch over and over and over again. But if I think of like the impact of seeing it for the first time and what I still feel about it years later, whether I've rewatched it or not, I feel like this has got to be one of those that's high up on the list of, yeah, this one was kind of a massive gut punch when you watch it. Because as those sins get more and more brutal and more psychologically taxing, you know, you're being worn down in the same way the detectives are.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's definitely cumulative, and yes.
And you get to the end. I know we were poking a little bit of fun at his line delivery in the "What's in the box," but you get to the end, and I think that very last part where once he has found out. I mean, that whole scene, once you get to the point where they're driving out in the middle of nowhere, just the amount of tension that is building in that whole scene, and just the knot that I think you as a viewer feel in your own stomach as that's all happening. You're like, okay, this guy has planned everything to a T. And now we're driving out in the middle of a field. We have to be there at a specific time. Like what could possibly happen here? And I know we were doing a little bit of texting earlier, and Pat, you were kind of jokingly texting like, this isn't like a dark comedy that I missed something, right? And then I think Jeff texted back and he's like, yeah, no, definitely not a comedy. And then I wrote back and I said, well, there are a couple of parts that I laughed at. There are a couple of parts
that's because you're twisted.
It is. I am a little twisted there, but one of the parts that I laughed at the first time I saw this, and thank goodness I didn't see it in the theater because I think I would have disturbed some people. But the part that I still laugh at every time I see this movie is they get to the field, they get out of the car, and they look around. And I think it's Somerset. They're like, is there anything here? And Somerset looks down and there's like the corpse of a dead dog. And he goes, dead dog. And immediately Kevin Spacey goes, I didn't do that.
Right.
And that's the one moment in this movie where it's like, you've built up the tension so much, and then you drop a little line like that, and you almost can't help but laugh at that. And I think Fincher did that on purpose, because he's like, I'm about to unleash some stuff on you that you're never going to forget as a viewer. So let me give you a little teeny tiny chuckle that you might be able to have here. And now I'm going to completely rip your heart out of your chest. But I think he does all of that so well. And that final scene when they're out in the field and you know, Brad Pitt's breakdown that you see once he realizes what's going on. And just that entire, as everything continues to build and build and build to the point where, you know, where Morgan Freeman knows exactly what's in the box because he's looked in it. He comes running back and he's trying to tell him to put his gun down, and, you know, John Doe won't stop talking. And he's, you know, that whole part of, you know, she begged for her life and the life of the child inside of her. And then Morgan Freeman slaps him. And at that point, you don't have to say anything else. At that point, Brad Pitt knows all this is true. Like, it's not made up, because otherwise, why is Morgan Freeman responding in that way if it's not true?
Right.
And just that entire, and then Kevin Spacey's moment where he looks at Morgan Freeman and just goes, oh, he didn't know. And just, I even like thinking about it right now. I still like, I get like the hairs on the back of my head kind of, or on the back of my neck kind of like get raised up there. Cause I'm like, that's peak creepy and peak evil in a movie. And it's
Right.
done so well.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the recommendation, is if you're looking for a movie that has peak creepy and peak evil, go watch Se7en. But it's done so well, and I hesitate to use the word enjoy, but I do enjoy watching it, because it is there were some folks that were texting on a different text thread the other day, and they commented that they said that Jaws is either a perfect or near perfect movie. And I would almost argue that in this genre, this one might be a near perfect movie for me.
Really? Now I'm really curious.
Tough to rewatch, but for what it is, I feel like it's pretty close to, for a psychological thriller, I feel like it's pretty close to perfect.
Yeah.
So, okay, I've talked a lot. I will shut up now. What are any other thoughts?
Well, I was very, other than the crimes and what you saw, I was very entertained. I thought there was great chemistry between, I'm drawing a blank on his name, and
Mills and Somerset.
Morgan Freeman. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
I thought that the way they played off each other, not just even what they said, but the reactions, you know, what are you doing back in here? You're not supposed to be here. You know, like all that, just the tit for tat, the back and forth. I thought it was great. I thought when they're brought over for dinner, I thought that's an incredible sequence when he's, you know, there's only one problem, you know, grab the dishes, here comes the whatever train. And, you know, I just love the whole thing. I just love how they go back and forth. I'll tell you, when they go to dinner and they're talking, and then all of a sudden they're like, they start to, you know, they don't like each other, but Gwyneth Paltrow brings them together. And then they're like, hey, we have to, like, you know, they start figuring out the crime. And then they go and I forget where they were, but they're getting analyzed and they're on the bench and he's trying to curl up and he's playing it cool. And he's just like, yeah, I'm going to take a nap and I'm fine. But then he wakes up and he's laying on Somerset.
Yeah.
Like, that's an awesome scene. And so I'm really enjoying this movie, but then that's juxtaposed with this horrible, awful, just incredibly challenging crimes that they're investigating. And that's exciting because they're bringing out the Somerset's just hardened against this. And he's like, get ready. This is not, like, he knows exactly how this is going to go, but you can see it's pushing him, but he's just like, dude, we're not going to win this one. This is not good. Right? Like, he doesn't even want a part in it. He's like, this kid's not ready for this. Like, and then they're going through and he's like, no, we can do it. We can do. And then you get that with, okay, it's like this mental thriller. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're right in the middle of this, like incredible foot chase where, you know, the bad guy's like winging shots at him and everything. So you get that exciting component in there. And I think you've mentioned it a couple times, but this one's fun to go back. And Bo, you said this too. You know, the first time you get the reveal, the second time you get to see all the little points of interest along the way when they hint it to you. And like you guys were saying, how often this guy appears in it, right? Like they show you the bad guy and you get that level on it. And then you get that final awful twist at the end that, like I said earlier, I'm just left with why did they do that? I mean, I'm not saying it from you ruined the movie, but it's just like, I don't know why you did this to us. Why did you write the story that way? Like, why did you do that? But it's compelling. It's disturbing. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, there's a lot of layers to it, and entertaining is the wrong word, but maybe compelling.
Yeah.
And I guess some of it's entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And there's so many good little details, like that whole, you were mentioning that whole scene where they're telling the story about how the real estate agent showed him their place and brought him only for like 5 minutes at a time. And then the train comes by and it's shaking everything. How often does that come by? You won't even notice it. And then later on, when Tracy has gone to sleep and they're still like knee deep in the investigation, the train starts to come by, and then just without almost even a thought, Somerset like picks up his glass of wine. Like they pick up their glasses of wine and they just continue talking and doing their thing, but like they pick them up just so they won't be shaking and nothing will fall off. And it's just like a little teeny tiny details like that are just, it's so well put together.
Yes. Can I throw another one in there that I've been meaning to, I wanted to say it and I almost forgot.
Throw it.
It's the little line where they're discovering another part of it, where he's like, you know, he's trying to tell Arlie Ermes, you know, the police captain, like, we got a serial killer.
Yeah.
And they're out and they're like, look, you know, sloth or envy.
Yeah.
Greed. And it's just so well acted, and the mannerisms seem so authentic to where, you know, Morgan Freeman's character is like holding up his fingers, like counting them off.
Yeah.
Like it's just, none of it seems overacted. everything is just seems authentic, and you can tell it's like, and it's the captain's just like, oh my God, like they can tell they're into something big.
Yeah.
And the phone rings and the captain picks up the phone and goes, "This isn't even my desk," and hangs the phone back up.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that.
Yes.
Because like, I was just like, okay, so was that guy really calling for him? No, the guy wasn't calling for him.
Yeah.
But his response was like, "Don't call me here." But that could have been some random guy. Like I had to watch that scene a couple times because I'm like, okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But again, it's like not like haha funny. It's just, yeah, I could totally see the character doing that. You know what I'm saying? The police captain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and a frustrated Arlie Ermy is one of the best things on television. Like,
yeah,
he just does that so well.
But like grabbing the phone to the random desk, like, "This isn't even my desk." Slam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man.
All right.
And
yeah, go ahead.
There was one thing that described it as Gwyneth Paltrow. Her character is like the only ray of light in the movie.
Yeah.
And like to have that extinguished at the end, and in the way it is extinguished, you're left with like, okay, in this world, I don't know if it's just a dark and sinister story or if they're trying to make commentary, but it's just like that can't live in this world.
Mm-hmm.
That won't be tolerated.
Well, and I feel like that's a great twist for him becoming one of the sins that he's been trying to preach against this entire time, because she is the only good thing. And when you look at the movie, the idea being that he's after people. He's like, how could you call these people innocent? And he starts listing off all the things that disgust him and all that. There is she has done nothing wrong this entire movie. So he has killed, and that's the first time he's killed even somebody that he would consider innocent. And so then that's the twist of where he became envy, because he became one of the sins he was trying to fight against. I think that's just a great twist. Is yes, you're one ray of sunshine in this dark and awful city. He murdered her, and then leading to him becoming envy, and then Mills becoming wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there supposed to be any overt commentary in this, or is it just a dark, a story from the dark underbelly kind of thing?
I don't, other than it just being like a disturbing, other than it just being like a disturbing look at morality and sin and evil and all of that. I don't think there's any kind of like necessarily a deeper meaning to it, other than maybe if you're trying to look at the ways in which people might have zero grace for other human beings, or what happens when you take that to an extreme, because it sounds like there's no sense of grace or forgiveness in this character, in the John Doe character, because I think they even say at one point he's independently wealthy. Like he's ridiculously wealthy. He has, no job, no this, no that. What he's basically a ghost. Like he doesn't exist before a certain period of time, and he's independently wealthy. And so you look at it as, okay, well, that's one way you could go. I guess you could punish the sins of the world and become a serial killer and do it that way. Or I don't know, if you're independently wealthy and you have that kind of influence, could you maybe use some of that to help people?
Yeah.
Sure you could. But obviously he chose not to. So yeah, I guess there's different ways you can, whatever your sense of morality is, I guess there's different ways to handle that. And maybe if there's a deeper message or meaning to the movie, it would be something like that. It's like, well, how do you, yes, there are things that you could walk down the street and there's something that might disgust you that you see. Well, how do you react to that? Do you let it disgust you? Do you'll look at that person and automatically assume that that is a disgusting, dirty person, or do you have the thought of, does that person need help? Does that person, like, what's going on? What could I do to make things better for that person? And so if there's any kind of a deeper meaning, my guess would be it'd be something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like you can have your moral judgments, but what do you do with them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A dark and twisted movie.
It is. It is very dark and twisted. All right. Anything else before we jump into? I don't have 7 questions. I only have 3 questions.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not very. I mean, they're not deadly. But we might learn
Guess
something.
that depends on how you ask them,
Well,
right?
that's true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's true. If I tie you up and pry your eyes open and then ask you what's your favorite David Fincher film, that's very different than how I planned on asking it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's all in the delivery.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It's time for maybe a creepy 3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right. Question number 1. If you had to build a murder-themed film festival around the movie Seven, so Seven has to be one of them, what 2 other movies would you pair that up with? And what is the connective tissue that you create between them?
Murder theme.
So I'd say one possible route you could go, because you could do this in a few different ways. You could do, like, what are movies that would be kind of murder-themed or horror-themed that have a twist ending, or that deal with,
Sure,
like, moral ambiguity, or are psychological thrillers, or stuff like that. I'll give you mine, and then maybe if that helps anybody come up with ideas for theirs. I would say you could take our episode we did with the Shirley guys, and if you want, now that would be 3 other movies, but if you did M and Psycho and Silence of the Lambs, you could pair those with Seven.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking Silence of the Lambs is a possibility.
So mine, and I cheated a little bit because I can. And so one of mine is a season of a TV show. It's not a movie, so that's where I cheated a little bit. So my list is I am going to pair up Seven with, and all of these are kind of psychological thrillers that have something to do with some kind of occult or cultish kind of aspect to them. So that's the kind of connective tissue to them. That there's almost a supernatural, even if there's not a supernatural sense to them, there's an almost supernatural underpinning to these movies. So Seven, obviously, is the first one. The movie Fallen with Denzel Washington would be my second one. That is the one where there is the demon that can pass from person to person by touching them.
Yeah.
Love that movie. And then my third pairing to go along with those is season 1 of True Detective.
Oh, okay.
If you have not seen True Detective, that is it's very much in line with, like, the kind of look and feel of Seven. And it's Matthew McConaughey and, am I blanking? Woody Harrelson are awesome in that show.
Well, and didn't I hear they're coming back to do another season?
Are they coming? The 2 of them are coming back?
That's what I heard.
Oh,
but
I didn't know that.
Click and actually read the article. So
okay, because we watched. I think we've watched all of the seasons. How many were there? Were there 4 seasons? Yes, there were 4 seasons so far, and they were the other seasons were fine. I don't think they were as good as season 1. Season 1, I think, was the best of all of them, but it very much had it reminded me a lot of Seven. Like, there's a lot of I don't think season 1 of True Detective gets made without 7. And I've heard a lot of people argue that that's like one of their favorite, especially cop shows or police procedurals. That's one of their favorite seasons of TV ever, is that True Detective season 1.
Good to know.
So that's my pairing. I'm pairing 7 with Fallen with True Detective season 1.
Okay. Part of this might be that I don't watch enough horror films, but I was thinking maybe 7 with American Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
And then for some reason, The Devil's Advocate popped into my head.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
But I wasn't as sure about that one because honestly, it's been a long time.
That's acceptable.
So I'm having a little trouble piecing that one together.
Mm-hmm.
You did mention Silence of the Lambs. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
For sure, for sheer gore and, horror, you could always throw a Saw theme in there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're building a theme park, that might,
Sure.
People shop for that stuff.
Disney World for
So
killers.
yeah, I know that's not right. I know that's not exactly what you were looking for, but that's sort of my.
That's fine. That works. Patrick, what do you got?
You don't get us with the thinking ones late at night, man.
I know.
Yeah, this is higher level, John. I mean, this is.
I know.
When they write the book on us, and the episodes that change the pod, this is going to be the one. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, I'm telling you, question number 1 is going to be a challenge.
You're putting a heavy burden on this episode there, Pat.
It's a lot. It's a lot. But I don't know. I got nothing. It's just that's the reality. I've got, for my murder movie marathon, I have got this one, Dirty Harry, and Jaws.
Okay.
Because in each one,
you're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yeah, because in each one, they're pursued by a cool character that's a little rough around the edges.
Yeah.
Somerset, Quint, and Harry Callahan.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Question number 2. What's your favorite David Fincher film?
I looked down his list of movies, and I really didn't know many of them. In fact, it seemed like a lot of the stuff he did were like music videos and commercials and stuff. Like I saw a lot of he did Madonna's videos and all this other kind of things.
He did some Steve Winwood videos.
Mm-hmm.
He did an Aerosmith video.
I really like.
That's
he did
fun,
Alien,
man.
He did Alien 3. He did this, and there was one other movie that he did that I knew.
Fight Club. And then have you seen, he did The Social Network, he did Zodiac, he did Gone Girl.
I saw The Social Network. Yeah,
Okay.
I haven't seen Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Haven't seen Zodiac.
Oh, that's good. That's a good one.
Okay. Good movie to see, or not, or good that I haven't seen it.
No, I liked The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, so I really don't know enough of his work. So I mean, I've seen Alien Cubed and this one. So I don't know.
You ever seen the
I don't want to reject the question. I might just have to say this one.
Curious Case of Benjamin Button?
I have not.
No? Okay. The one where Brad Pitt ages backwards?
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I think the obvious answer for me on this one is Fight Club.
Not Alien Cubed.
No, as much as I love that one, I love that one. I love this one. But yeah, I think in terms of movies that blew my mind the first time I watched them, like Fight Club is way up there.
Okay.
So, and that's another one. Like I can find very few things about Fight Club to criticize, if anything.
Right. But like Alien Cube, they kill off the main characters in the opening.
That I don't have a problem with. I have no problem with that at all. I say kill them all.
None at all. No problems. You're making nothing.
No, I don't know why we stopped at Hicks and Newt. I mean, I feel like movies are mostly better when you kill off the main characters in the beginning. Mostly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You just would have preferred like the ship just kind of floating around in space.
You know what? If they had just killed every single human at the beginning of that movie, and then just had a little dog burster alien that's running around the planet, if it was like a nature documentary for xenomorphs, I would have been totally fine with that. Like, kill all the humans, show me the alien. For like an hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm good.
Okay. I get it. I get it.
We can have a little Richard Attenborough, like, and here we see the alien in its natural habitat. It has just burst forth in new life from the chest of the dog. Or better yet, get Morgan Freeman to do it. And there goes the alien. As the alien burst forth from the chest of the dog, it says, "Get busy living or get busy dying."
What?
Where does the alien want to go? We don't know, but I think it's called Zewataneo.
What would happen between the alien and the Borg?
Oh my. He's a Borgs.
Well, I feel like even when you resist, it's futile.
Okay.
Other than that, I don't know. I don't think they come out well because they take on the biology of whatever they burst out of. So I think whatever the biological part of the Borg is, it probably just takes on that. Or does it become a robo-alien?
Right. That's part of the collective. I don't know.
Allow me to hug your face, or there will be trouble.
So it's RoboCop?
It's RoboCop, but robo-alien. Yeah.
Wow, that's an interesting dimension. One that I did not fully predict.
Dead or alive, I'm bursting out of your chest. I don't know. I don't know. It's the crossover probably only like 3 people asked for. Now, if anybody gave me a bunch of money and said make some movies, I'd do a robo-alien. Although I guarantee somewhere in the depths of Tubi TV, there's got to be some movie somebody made called Robo-Alien.
Well, see, you're going Robo, but that's if they tried if the alien landed on the Borg planet.
Oh, you're talking about if the Borg assimilated the xenomorphs.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
Or if you just put a xenomorph on the Borg planet, like
well,
how would that
would they? A different color.
Right. Yeah. Because I don't know, when the implants like start to go into the aliens, would they not just bleed the acid on them? If you prick them, do they not bleed acid? We need breathing room. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
These
are the kind of questions we ponder at very late at night.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, final question. What's a film that you love, but you would never want to watch it again because it messed with your head too much?
I can't answer this question. It's messing with my head too much. I'm sorry.
Hit the button. Hit the button.
Pat just rejected your question.
I can't. I don't. Maybe once you guys say your examples, I'll be like, oh. But my brain was already so abstract, considering my brain was like Mr. Spock in Star Trek: The Motion Picture, just like after taking that chair into V'ger, right, and just kind of going through that thing. Like that was what my brain has been doing all day with these 3 questions, and so I'm just like the first 2 questions. Like I don't even know what to do with the third one. I'm sorry. I'm not angry about it. It's just matter of fact. I don't. Matter of fact, I'm not sure how to answer your question.
Okay.
I'm sorry. That's all I got.
That's fine.
But when I hear you guys give your answers, maybe it'll make sense to me, and I can figure it all out.
I mean, part of mine is to a certain degree is this one, because I'm not See, Fight Club I will rewatch.
Mhm.
I love that movie. Kind of messes with your head a little bit, but it is, to me, that one is infinitely rewatchable. This one, not so much, just because it's so brutal.
Okay.
And so this one messed with my head when I saw it, and I love it. It's an amazing movie, but it's not one that I'm like, hey, it's a lazy Saturday afternoon. What should I do? I know. Let's watch Seven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this one's probably, if it's not top of the list, it's up there somewhere. And I've been trying to think of other movies that I've watched, and maybe even some that I've watched recently that did the same kind of thing. I just recently watched, there was a newer kind of body horror movie called The Substance with Demi Moore.
Okay.
And that one, there was all kinds of messed up in that one. But I'm trying to think if it messed with my head so much that I wouldn't necessarily be willing to watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like it was good. It was entertaining, but I don't know if I would say I love it, but I can't watch it because it messed with my head.
Okay.
I don't know if I'd go that far with it. And I'm trying to think if there's any other movies. Yeah, other than Seven, I'm not sure if I can think of another one where I enjoy the movie so much, but it's one that makes it difficult to rewatch. The interesting thing is, a lot of times if there's a movie like that, then I won't buy a copy of it.
Okay.
Because I'll be like, yeah, I watched it and it's in my brain now. Like I don't need to rewatch it because it's in there. But I have a copy of Seven, and I feel like I bought a DVD copy of Seven as soon as it came out on DVD, I believe.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With the intention of like, I'm going to watch this many times because it was an amazing movie. And I
Mhm.
think since owning that DVD, I may have watched it twice,
Mm-hmm.
maybe. And we're talking a DVD I've owned for probably 25 plus years. So,
Right.
no, I really can't think of, other than this one, I can't think of too many other movies that fit the combination of I love it, but it messed with my head, so now I can't rewatch it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with
Yeah,
this one.
I can't either, really, now that you mention it. But, we were talking about movies where once you know the twist,
Uh-huh.
you can watch again. But then there's some movies that once you know the twist, you can't watch again.
Sure, yeah.
The Sixth Sense comes to mind.
Sure.
Like that's one you can watch maybe twice.
Yeah.
Because you watch it once, and you're like, whoa. You watch it a second time to look for all the clues, but then you're sort of done because now you know the twist. So not so much for the exact same reasons that you're mentioning, harder to rewatch.
Yeah. I'm wondering too, I'm trying to think through some other movies. I'm wondering if like Requiem for a Dream fits that.
Oh, there you go.
Because that's another one, like that's another one that's like it melts your brain a little bit. And you only feel like you're gonna watch it maybe once or twice. I mean, definitely once, but
That's
maybe.
actually a really good one.
So that might be another one.
That's really good. Clockwork Orange.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be another one.
That's one I've only seen once.
Yes. Have I seen it more than once? I might have seen it more than
You
once.
know, now that you mention it, maybe twice, but like,
Yeah.
but yeah, Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Sometimes you just gotta talk it through to come up with a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a good one. Well, I'm going to keep things rolling. The only other one I could come up with would be Schindler's List.
That's another one, yeah.
But I want to be
That's
really
really
careful
good.
because I think it's just a magnificent film, but just so, I mean, horrifying, saddening, maddening. It's challenging. But I don't know that I'm going to say, hey, I'm done watching it. Like, I almost feel like watching that once a year kind of is part of that, hey, let's not forget. Let's make sure, like, the next generation, like, it's almost like that should be, like, appointment required watching every year. But, in the meanwhile, that would be my answer.
Gotcha.
So I rejected the question, but then hearing your guys' answers and explanations, I'm picking the flag back up and putting it on my belt. Like I'm picking the flag back up.
Sure. All right, that works. All right. Well, I think we've survived the first week of Vengeance Month, so I think we're doing okay. I feel like if we survive the first week, the rest of them are going to be totally fine.
Oh yeah.
Like the level of vengeance kind of tapers off after this. Like once you start here, like it's like that kid we all knew.
All downhill.
It's like that kid we all knew in high school. He peaked too early, and then from there, the rest of it was downhill.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So this, not me. I'm in my prime. This week was 7. Next week is Come On Back Next Week, where you get to see Kevin Spacey as another intense character. We'll see him in The Usual Suspects.
Nice.
But really, who is Kaiser Soze?
Kaiser Soze.
Yeah. The Quick of the Dead will be after that. Lethal Weapon 3 will be after that. Desperado, and then we end the month with Die Hard with a Vengeance. And if Vengeance Month isn't quite your thing, and you're like, I would like to see some people in some brightly colored tights, then come on over to Patreon. It won't be us wearing the brightly colored tights, or will it? Okay, no response from the co-host, so clearly
you're on your own on that one, bud.
That's kind of what I thought. Hey, I'll do what it takes to bring people over to the Patreon. If that means promising them that I will not wear brightly colored tights, I will do that. But if you join us over on the Patreon for this month of July, our Patreon episode will be Superman from 2025, and our Patreon short will be Fantastic Four First Steps from 2025 as well. So that is it for this episode. Thank you, Bo, and thank you, Pat.
Thank you,
John.
All right, everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and maybe go, I don't know, like hug a puppy or something after watching this movie, because you probably need to. Everybody go hug your respective pets after watching and talking about this movie, and your children. Like, tell them you love them, and I don't know.
Check the doors.
Go get some cotton candy and do something fun, and lock your doors. Yeah. All right. And anytime you open any kind of a gift, please yell what's in the box, because
what's in the box?
Real quick. Anytime there's any kind of a gift or a package or whatever, I say that every single time, and it warms my soul at the amount of eye rolling that I get from either my daughter or others in the house.
Awesome.
Sometimes a good eye roll is the best form of acknowledgement.
It's required. Hey, if you can roll your eyes, you're still alive. So,
Indeed.
That's what's important. All right, everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we will see you back here next time.
Bring the lights down low, it's time to show. Lights, camera, you know what we mean. Behold the magic of the silver screen.